Hey nerds, my name is Jeremy, and I want to talk to you about something that I think is pretty cool. So, I started up this Liberating Structures user group called Wise Crowds, and we have organized a whole bunch of these meetups, these Wise Crowds design call, where we gather together and invite folks to offer a help request, and then we use the format of Wise Crowds in order to offer some peer-to-peer consultation. We've got a bunch of these calls recorded. They're up on YouTube. You can go check them out. Um, blah, blah, blah. I do a lot of this work with regards to spreading the practice of liberating structures in a particular sector that is like the regenerative corner of Web3, which for some of you might sound a little bit like a contradiction. Regenerative Web3. Web3, doesn't that mean crypto? Isn't that horrible for the environment? How is it that you are focused on regeneration and this thing that I think is horrible for the environment? Without getting into the nitty gritty, I will say check your assumptions, or at least investigate them in a little bit more detail. Turns out Web3 and much of the crypto ecosystem is nowhere near as horrible for the environment as you might imagine. And in fact, there are many chains, there are many areas within the Web3 space that are not only carbon neutral, but even carbon negative and extraordinarily energy efficient systems of processing transactions. I won't get into defending the crypto space too much because there is a lot of bullshit, a lot of scams, and a lot of trash in there. But what I will say is that there is a little teeny tiny sliver of it around the topic of regeneration where I think a lot of very cool things are happening, especially if you're interested in participatory process, as most of the folks interested in liberating structures are, and if you are curious about stuff like the commons and Eleanor Ostrom's principles, then there is a lot of really cool applications of this technology that I think are worth investigating. My point, though, being is that right now, one of these applications is giving us a pretty unique opportunity. So there is this website called Giveth, giveth.io, as you see up there at the top. Giveth is a crowdfunding platform. So right now they're using a very interesting technology that is called quadratic funding. And I won't try and explain it at all, but I will try and direct your attention to the right side of this screen. So this project, that is this user group that I've been organizing for the past couple years, Wise Crowds, is doing a crowdfund on Giveth. And Giveth has collected a pool of funds that we call a matching pool. And right now, they are inviting people to help direct where those matching funds go to. So you can see that this project has been verified. I've talked to these nerds on Giveth, and that this project is also eligible for matching. And so on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see that if you donate one DAI to this project, to the Wise Crowds project, via Optimism, and I'll unpack that a little bit in a moment, it can be matched by up to 16 DAI. So if you have some DAI lying around and you can bridge it over to Optimism, you can give me and my fellow contributors, Sylvia and Bruno and Unai, you could donate $1 to us, and it will be matched by up to $16, which I think is pretty cool. So, no, I don't want to explain how that's possible. Basically, what they're doing is they have collected about $25,000, and they are inviting people to give small donations in order to direct where that $25,000 goes. And that's how the magic that is quadratic funding basically works. So what do you have to do as an individual to help us take advantage of this opportunity? That would require that you set up a wallet. A wallet is basically like a bank account It's not the perfect metaphor, more like a post office box, but sure, let's go with bank account. Um, the easiest and simplest way to do that is to go through MetaMask. So, go to MetaMask, set yourself up a wallet, and then you'll have to put some funds in there. Now, normally there's a little bit of a process that is related to you go to an exchange, and then you would buy some, say, Ethereum, and then you could take that Ethereum and you could go to this website at Optimism, and you could bridge those funds over at to Optimism, and then you could make a donation from the Optimism chain over on Giveth. Optimism is actually worth looking into. Optimism is a very low cost, very energy efficient blockchain that has this entire master plan about how they can fund what we call public goods with these tokens. Without talking about like technically what are public goods versus club goods versus common goods, like if we think about the Liberating Structures community of practice, a lot of what we are doing together is creating public goods. We are creating this learning impact network together, and we are creating opportunities to learn and practice and use liberating structures with one another. And it just so happens that most of that action that is occurring sort of in this peer-to-peer grassroots organization, not even organization, it's just happening, doesn't really have a business model attached to it, right? Like if you've participated in a user group or you've gone to a user group organized event, like those are usually free. People are donating their time to organize, and education, though, is happening at those events. And so Optimism has this big scheme about how they can pay for these types of public goods with these tokens. Again, go take a look at it. They've got some cool stuff that's going on with what we call retroactive public goods funding. Basically, how rather than doing like a grants program where you would ask people to apply for a grant and then you would decide, what they are basically doing is saying, hey, contribute to our ecosystem, contribute to Optimism, and based on the contributions that you make, we can actually look retroactively and go, hey, who's made contributions that have been valuable to this ecosystem? And then we can basically flow funds and resources to those people rather than having to figure out, and verify who's going to be effective. Basically, it's way easier to figure out who has what contributions are valuable if we look back rather than if we look forward into the future. So that was a little spiel about Optimism. What I'm going to say is, to make life very simple on everyone, is if you go to MetaMask and you set up a wallet and you send me your wallet ID, that is also known as your public key. Note to everyone, never share your private keys. But if you send me the address of your wallet, I will send you a few bucks in tokens in Ethereum on the Optimism chain. And you can then use those tokens, however many you would like to go to Giveth, and you can make a donation on behalf of Wise Crowds. And there are a ton of very interesting projects that you might think are doing very cool work that you would like to support. I would point out just a couple, blah, blah, blah. There's lots. So we do have a little bit of a time boundary as it pertains to this opportunity. But there's a lot of really cool projects that are raising funds. Common Stack is trying to develop a toolkit of like Legos to develop commons that operates through the magic of internet money that is crypto. Um, Trusted Seed has been organizing an unconference to share knowledge and skills. Token Engineering Commons, huge shout out to those nerds. Those were the guys who got me excited about this space. Basically, they say, token engineering is both a very specialized field and a very powerful field because, the basic argument is that tokens, crypto, Web3, whatever you want to call it, is basically civilization building technology. And if you know how to do that, you're a very powerful person. And so it's really important that we make sure the knowledge about how to do that and engineer tokens is a public good, and everybody can have access to how to do that and become more powerful themselves. So they have set up a commons around the field of token engineering, and they helped bring me into this ecosystem. I basically got excited about that possibility. Huge shout out to my nerds at Gravity DAO. Gravity does conflict management and dispute resolution. It actually emerged from the Token Engineering Commons. If you're familiar with Eleanor Ostrom's principles on how to govern a commons or how to manage common resources, that informed the build or community organization around the Token Engineering Commons. And Gravity DAO was sort of created to satisfy the principle that is dispute resolution needs to be available at low cost in order to ensure that a commons can become successful. So Gravity DAO exists because of that. Urbanica is a great project. There are a lot of really cool projects. I'm not going to go and explicate each and every one of these nerds that I know and that I like. But what I will say is that there are about 2 weeks. If you send me your wallet address, and I will send you some crypto tokens on the Optimism chain so that you can make a donation into my project and anybody's project. Or if you just want to keep them and go, yay, I have some tokens, that's fine too. But what's the point? Yeah, create a wallet. Send me your wallet address. I'll send you some tokens. And if you want, you can donate to some projects that would be grateful to have those resources. And if you do so, those resources will trigger this matching algorithm and can help direct this matching pool to these projects. So your information is vital to do that. Anyway, my name's Jeremy. This is Wise Crowds and Giveth, and a little spiel on quadratic funding. Thanks for your time, attention, and energy, and I'll see you around.